Welcome back to another episode of RNT Fitness Radio, and today I'm joined by the founder of M10 Fitness, Mark Coles, where we go deep into the mindset behind transformation and what's holding so many people back from achieving their full potential. We dive into the keys of self-confidence and self-mastery and what it takes to unlock both to a higher level, with Mark using many of his personal and client anecdotes to relay his insights. If you're someone who's on a path to being better every day and wants to use the physical as a vehicle for the greater good in all areas of your life, you won't want to miss this episode with Mark.
So you're in London now? You moved out of Nottingham?
Yeah. So I moved down here, how many years ago now? 2.5.
Okay.
So I'm in West London, about to move up slightly up further north. It was very much for the business to grow, and also for the team to thrive in the gym, and develop the brand in the gym, and so I could explore everything else. And as you know, when you have that brain space, you can grow and develop. And I've got a big purpose that I have. So yeah, it's a great place to be, but I also miss the gym massively.
How often do you get up there now?
Every Tuesday.
Okay, so you still go there once a week?
Yeah, every Tuesday, all day. And then like this weekend, we're teaching our mentorship. 2 weeks' time, we teach the practical weekend. So I'm still up there teaching. I just live here.
Okay, and are you enjoying London life then?
Love it. Do you know what's quite funny? Where are you based?
I'm based northwest London.
Northwest.
Not too far from Harrow, Wembley area.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? It's quite funny because I came down and my family, my brother and sister live in Putney. My dad's Marylebone, in between here and Nottingham. And for years I've been coming down here at the weekends. And when I first started traveling to London, I'd have like mindset Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. I'd get the train down, sit in a restaurant, coffee shop, brain dump some ideas. And as much as you think that you're going to live in Central, no matter where you are in London, you end up staying there, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought I would, as soon as I moved to London, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in West End, I'm going to be out here. And then you don't. That becomes home. And wherever you are, you stay. And as much as I thought I'd be out in London all the time, you're not, are you?
No.
Crazy.
There's no place like London. Especially if you come from the north where it's so quiet.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, like Nottingham's got a buzz to it, but it's the pace is slower.
Yeah.
And I, because my mind is very active, what I found is when I came down to London, it allowed me to excel that. And it was in a space which was fast and allowed me to be productive, which is very much the reason why I love it. But, you know, we're looking at having kids next year and we're moving slightly higher up towards Highgate now.
Oh, brilliant. And what are you working on right now that's taking up all your headspace?
So what are we doing right now? Like, I created a 12-week course, which is help personal trainers develop their brand and marketing, which launched 3 months ago. So I'm very busy managing the guys in the group there. I have a mastermind, mentorship programs. There's a lot of little things that we do, but for the next step, there's a lot of organizing of people and getting people to manage some of the stuff so I can do the next step. We're just looking at different solutions and ways to try and help the trainers that follow me because, you know, rather than just looking at one particular area, what I specialize in more is helping trainers navigate through their careers. So it's everything from, you know, trainers at the beginning of their journey right through to the more entrepreneurial trainers who are ready to scale their business and increase their revenue streams. So it's kind of creating a pocket for each of those people along the way.
And which area do you specialize in most? I know you said
So what we've created along the way is we've got the education program, which actually works with the trainers developing their knowledge. Because we look at 3 areas: the personal growth and development, the physical kind of development of your own body and your education as a coach, but then the professional side too. And specializing in one area, just the training, to me, it's like a stone left unturned. As a coach myself, I've specialized in all 3 areas. If I want to become a better coach, this has to grow with it. So I've specialized on, if I can see a trainer has more self-doubt and limitation from what they've gone through in life, then just studying can often overwhelm them. And I feel a responsibility to help a coach through some of the personal growth and development that they are challenged with. So what we've developed is our mentorship program, which is a submersion event for trainers in their first 1 to 3 years, which covers personal, the education, and the mentoring side. But then I specialize very much on the personal and business growth side. So the team in Nottingham focus a lot on the mentoring of trainers through their knowledge and physique development. So a lot of trainers travel to Nottingham to see my team, whereas they used to see me and them. And now I specialize a lot more on the business growth, the areas of marketing, personal growth, and business development, because obviously we know that's an area that is lacking for a lot of trainers. But I still don't think, Akash, that the word business doesn't mean super duper revenue.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of crowded in the industry at the moment, that trainers, it's all about making more money. Business for me is about the brand, the operations, the systems, the customer service, the reputation. And so I don't want to be known as the guy that's going out every day to make people more money. I want to be known as the guy that's helping people develop a brand that's giving them the career and success that they want, not what I feel I'm forcing them to have.
Yeah. One thing I really liked what you said there is you help people navigate past a lot of their problems. What are some of the biggest problems you see you find yourself helping trainers navigate around?
So I, at the age of 24, very quickly realized that there was a lot of doubt and limitation in myself from school days, quite a bit of bullying through school. I didn't do particularly well at school. That was my own fault. I didn't study and apply myself. Going back to school, I probably thought that school's fault, but it was my fault. I didn't apply myself. But when we come into the fitness industry, personal training is personal mentoring. So our role as a personal trainer is to personally mentor someone through life, right?
Mm.
Well, how can we do that if we're not personally ready yet? And when you look at a trainer who is trying to help a client achieve a body transformation, weight loss, fat loss, the person that they're working with is trying to go through those same problems of compliancy and sticking to a program. But as the trainer, if you can't identify how to help somebody through that, giving them a diet and a training plan is not going to help. So my job really is to identify to the trainer, do you think that your own self-doubt in yourself is being mirrored by your client and they see that? And they need an inspirational role model who's got their shit together.
Mm.
And as a coach, when we eventually get to the point where our reputation is developed and people ring you and say, I want to do a body transformation, I want to get in great shape, there's a reason why 90% of your clients stick to the plan. And you go, I don't have any problem with my clients. It's because your reputation is built. And people stick to the plan. They do the body transformation. They do the photo shoot. And trainers go, I want to be a body transformation coach. And I say to them, where's the inspirational character that's going to get the best out of other people? And sometimes trainers have the lack of self-confidence to tell their clients how it is. Sometimes they have the lack of confidence to tell somebody to stick to their diet because they know they don't. And so ultimately there is a lot of more personal growth and development that a trainer needs to go through to be confident enough to tell somebody else to do it for themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've heard you talk a lot about self-confidence and some of the struggles you've been through with self-confidence. If you reflect, where would you feel has been the biggest sort of game changer, as you could say, for your own self-confidence? What really helped you elevate that and bring it to another level, which then deflected to now your clients and your followers and everyone who gains inspiration from you?
Just doing everything that I want to expect of other people. So along the way, the likes of Charles Poliquin, when I used to go to his seminars, and I just watch him and I go, this guy is like an encyclopedia. He's studied. He's traveled the world. He's jacked. He's able to answer things. Gary Vee says something a man that stands up on stage is not fearful when he knows what he's talking about. Someone said to Gary, why are you never nervous on stage? He goes, I just know what I'm talking about. And so I put a post out recently. It was like, the quickest way to dent your confidence is to kind of teach or coach something that you don't know. So all I did at all times is said, okay, if I want to be more confident in an area, I've got to know it inside out. So I would go and find the person that knew more than me, pay them, listen to them, and then apply it with my clients to the point where I got confident. And I just knew every single time that in my life, when I become confident at something, it's because I know what I'm talking about. And I've said to myself when it was physique development, I'd love to be able to help people get lean, but I've never been lean. So John Berardi, I remember he did a Get Shredded diet years ago. And it was 10 calories per pound, and it was 10 BCAs in between each meal.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember it?
Yeah.
That was the first time I got lean.
Yeah.
And I did it. And my face pulled in, and I tell you, 14 to 16 days, I had abs and I was lean. I'd lost a bit of muscle, admittedly, but that was the first time I got lean. And the funny thing was, I then went to my clients, right, I've done it. Come on. And so I think one of the things that's given me the quickest confidence is to just, do everything. When it came to wanting to build muscle, I said, what have I got to do to feel like I'm credible enough to talk about muscle building? And it was build muscle. Then it was, Charles, who do I need to see? Milos. Okay, let's go and train with Milos, do a bodybuilding show. And it wasn't just to do a bodybuilding show, it was to achieve something. I always wanted to be a step ahead of everybody that I worked with or wanted to teach. And with that, it just became ingrained in me that you will not have done what you want to. You can't challenge me and say that I haven't done what I'm trying to teach. And I think this is a big problem for coaches now, is that, especially with kind of social media nowadays, everybody wants to teach a particular type of person, but they've not been patient enough yet to build their self-confidence and do that thing first. And to me, that's one thing that I focused on in terms of building my self-confidence. It was developing the knowledge, applying myself to do the thing that I want to teach. And the other thing, which has helped me more than anything, and I don't think enough coaches do enough of this now, is I've just been to see personally everybody that I've studied from. Whether it was traveling to a different country, whether or not it was with Ben Pekulski at his gym in Florida and actually paying to train with him, and sitting down and having a coffee, I went to see that source of information personally or on Skype. And a lot of people do courses, and I think courses are incredible. Online courses are incredible because they give access to information all over the world. But I still think that there's been nothing better for my confidence than actually being put through firsthand, what's expected, because everything else, Akash, is a perception. People perceive them to be skilled with the knowledge that they've got, but they haven't been challenged with it. So I remember being in Florida doing a bench press after learning execution. And I remember Kasim Hansen, who I respect highly as a coach, turned around to me and said, "You're not locking that left strap down." And I said to myself, "Yes, I am. I know what I'm on about." And then I was humble enough to say, no, you're not. And I dropped the weights down by 15 kilos. And it was just having somebody point out your limitations made me go, okay, well, now we build from here. And I think it's, a lot of coaches would do a lot in terms of their self-confidence in getting inside environments that challenge them rather than making the assumption that they know what they're on about. You get challenged. And at all times throughout my career, I've gone in search of the person or persons that are going to challenge me, so that I then felt confident enough that the people that are teaching this had also said that I was good enough.
Yeah, you're speaking from very much a growth mindset, which I feel a lot of coaches and people in general are lacking. If someone listening to this is stuck in very much a fixed mindset where they don't want to take on advice, they don't want to go and meet these people, they don't want to consult, what advice would you be giving them to help them get out of that fixed mindset, which for a lot of people is pretty much the reason why they're being held back in anything they do, and not just in the fitness industry?
I think first and foremost, it's going to be change the language. NLP is a fantastic tool, but just change your language. Be very aware of the language you talk about. Only today I replied to a message to somebody and they were very negative about themselves. And I said, I feel very responsible in the way that you've actually written the message to me is I can't, it's not possible. I need your advice. I want to get better. I have children. This is my, and I said, everything you put in that message is I can't, but can you give me some advice? I said, well, you wouldn't need my advice if you changed the way that you wrote the message. So ultimately, how many times are we using can't? How many times are we saying that, you know, I won't, and placing limitations in front of you? And then just say to yourself, what if? And what if I could? What if I was able to do something? And a lot of personal trainers would say, and general population people would say, I can't do something. And I said, but what if you actually knew enough to be able to do it? How would that change? And they said, well, if I knew enough. And I said, but what if you actually took tomorrow off? No, I'm too busy. No. What if you took tomorrow off and went and studied from somebody? How would next week look? And it's about rephrasing and changing your language. I would encourage everybody to read Carol Dweck's book, Mindset.
Yeah.
It's a book that I read years ago. I'll never forget why I started this episode off, and when I talking to you just now about looking at where I am through school. I'd be the first to say I was stupid and that I didn't have enough knowledge. And I know hands down it was down to my application. And now, you know, I'm writing a book at the moment. And when I said to myself, there's absolutely no reason why you can't. There's absolutely no reason why it's not possible. I just need to create the time and use my experience to be able to help the right people. And so the language that I've used through various different readings and especially Carol Dweck's book and a lot of personal development and changing how I speak to myself and how people should speak to themselves gives you the opportunity before you even start putting pen to paper or opening your mouth to say, am I going to be positive and believe in myself when I'm going to come out with what I'm going to say, or am I going to deliberately say that I can't? That simple act of asking yourself what you're going to come out with, whether it's growth or fixed, is enough to change the language that you speak to yourself. And I think that we don't live in a world of awareness. We live in a world of automation where everything's just I can't. But what we have to do to change anything is first and foremost become aware. And once we become aware, we get an opportunity then. Like if you go to the edge of the road and you're automatic, you would walk out and go, idiot, nearly hit me in the car. If you were aware and said, if I step out without looking left and right, is there the likelihood that I'm going to put a car driver in an awkward situation where they might hit me and they're going to bang their horn? Probably. Okay, so as we come to the end of the road, let's think about the car first, which takes a millisecond to think about. Or you're the type of person that crosses the road and starts shouting at the car that's beeping at you when it actually was not the car's fault, it was your fault. And those little things, once you start doing that, it actually just becomes part of your being. And people, you know, the same with body transformations. When you're getting lean, you know, if you say something's difficult, you're going to put every situation around you to make it difficult. You know, and that's where I've always said, I was very surprised, Akash, when I found out that people actually do cheat on their diets. When it comes to prepping and dieting down, when I first realized it's not part of my makeup to cheat. And when I found out that, yes, there's a lot of people that do, I was like, what? Really? And I suppose this in life and in general to me is I tried to unlearn the patterns that got me to 24 and then relearn patterns that were going to get me to 42.
Yeah.
You know,
what happened at age 24? That was the light bulb moment for you.
So, I mean, I played rugby for 22 years. I was very much the lad culture, and I will never ever say that it was incredible times. But I'd gone through school because I didn't apply, and this is a big important thing, because I didn't apply myself at school. I was entering into adulthood with no qualifications, which made me feel that I wasn't clever enough, an inability to get into courses because I hadn't got my qualifications. I was being asked to leave classes at school because I wasn't applying myself, which is all my own doing. But that starts you off at life at a disadvantage. And I always tell people there's a thing called distance from destination. I think if you've not had great role models and not applied yourself at school, you are starting 18 to 22 at a very disadvantaged position. Now, if you've applied yourself at school and had great role models, you're already going to 18 to 22 with, I can, because I've already proved myself at 18 to 22 that I can. But there's a lot of people, especially personal trainers, have not succeeded at school and not succeeded at college and only scraped it through a personal training qualification. So you're already in a I can't mindset. And then you want to excel as a personal trainer and it's already I can't. And so I came through school and really didn't think I could and really didn't think it was possible. And so when I got to 24, which was incredible, I started working with a lady called Jane, who was a personal training client. And she studied under some incredible people, was at the beginning of her personal development journey. She had been on a course called the Landmark Forum, which is an incredible breakthrough experience. She had just started studying with Richard Bandler himself, who started NLP. And she said to me, Mark, you do know you can have anything in life? And I said, rubbish. What if you live on a council estate, you can't make money? And I was of that mindset. And she said, you can. And we went backwards and forwards as clients, really, really, I mean, we banged heads a lot. I said it was hocus pocus, a load of rubbish. And then I went home one day, sat on the end of my bed, and I said to myself, hey, she won't let up with this. She won't let me take away her positive energy. She would say to me, you're not taking it. This is how we should live. To have, she would go into a car park, and because of positive thinking, if there was a space near the entrance to the car park to the supermarket, she created that energy, which was so powerful in her belief state that things happened because of her energy. And so one day I came up to her and said, Jane, if somebody wanted to believe that everything that you're kind of saying was possible, what would that person do? And she came in the next day and she gave me the secret. And she said, you don't buy the secret for yourself. You get given the secret. It's a gift. And I'm gifting you the opportunity to learn about something called the law of attraction. But you've got to be prepared to start taking it on board. And as I started to read bits of it, I was like, wow. Now, I read that. And then about 2 days later, I went to see her and I said, Jane, I feel I want to submerge myself in more of this. There's something in this. I'm excited by it. And so I went and did the Landmark Forum in London. And I did 5 days submergence at 24. Now, bearing in mind, I come from rugby, fixed, can't achieve anything. I came out of there and came out and went, oh my world, I can achieve anything. So at 24, really had only just started my personal training career. I've been subjected to somebody that believed life was possible, anything is possible, and gave me the opportunity to go on a 4 or 5 day breakthrough to have that possibility. And I started my personal training career as a gift from her by being advised to go and do that. And that really set me up very quickly to anything is possible. So I got a growth mindset very quickly.
And what happened next? What did you notice in yourself?
I started to, I mean, bearing in mind, I played rugby. I got myself into drink and drugs. I was kind of filling my life with so many different things to keep me entertained and stop me looking for my way out. So drink and drugs became my way to keep myself in the kind of down state that I was in. And I said, as I later learned in life, John DeMartini talked extensively, who's an incredible mindset coach. He talks extensively about addiction is a void. So you're basically addicted to something because you're filling a void. My void was, where do I go in life? And that was drinking drugs, partying at the weekends. It wasn't Monday to Friday, it was just weekends. And then I said to myself, you get a way out. So when I did my breakthrough, I then suddenly realized that I was almost a blank canvas. And that's very, very frightening, because you get given a blank canvas and you're like, now you write how you want life to be. So this is the reason why when I work with coaches and business, anyone in business, is have you written what you want life to look like yet? And they're like, no. And I'm so life's just automatic. So if it's a bad day, it's a bad day. If it's a good day, it's a good day. What if every day could be an amazing day and you just live it in line with the book you've written about your life? And they're like, oh, that's a bit deep. It's a bit wishy-washy. And I'm like, well, it's true. So ultimately what I did, and I remember sitting on the coffee shop in the gym, and I said, what do you want your life to look like, Mark? And my dad's a property investor, and he's all about legacy for himself. And I said, I want people to know me in the fitness industry. I don't want to just train people. I want to be known for whatever it is that I do. And that really set me on a path to getting more sessions than everybody else, giving myself measures. So I said, okay, well, I don't want to just do 35 sessions. I want to do 35 sessions, but charge 40 when everybody's 30. How do I do that? Get better results than anybody else. Get a different colored profile board on the wall that says I'm more qualified. And so then I started to have this point of differentiation, like separating me from everybody else. And I realized very quickly that if you move a little bit quicker than everybody, do things that people aren't, you stand out. When you stand out, you get people wanting to come to see you and not others. And then I got a chance to then put my prices up a bit more. And then I suddenly realized that this is a pace you can operate at, but it was all created here by undoing a lot of the mess and then putting in place what I wanted to move forward with. And that was kind of really the catalyst and the catapult that pushed me forward.
So during this transition period, you probably were still stuck in the automatic phase in many periods of your life. What did you use to constantly check yourself and course correct almost during the day?
Love that. Yeah, no, great question. It's so easy, to want something and then just fall straight back into it. So I had a lot of rugby friends, and they would contact me on a Friday and they'd be like, are you coming out tonight? And I'd be like, nope. And they would like, well, why don't you just stay out for a little while? And I was like, no. And all I did, and I remember The Secret had a check, and you wrote a check to yourself, how much you want to pay yourself, and you've got to see that every day and live every day according to the fact that you are going to earn that money. And I wrote down a list of actions that had to happen. I didn't really know I was doing this, but I wrote down a list of actions that had to happen to make that money. And when I knew that I was doing things that, I've used this phrase a lot, complement or complicate. If I knew there was something I was doing that was complement me getting there, I'd snap out. And it actually got to the point where I ended up avoiding every situation in my life that complicated it, and had 5 years hardly seeing anyone. So I basically almost went cold turkey from life, social life, to avoid any situation that would pull me back. And that was the autocorrect, as you called it, way of pulling myself back, was to stay in full throttle. And that's what I did. And I got terrible anxiety because I worked 7 days a week. I'd write articles when I finished work. I'd stay up till 2 a.m. But I look back now and I wouldn't change a thing, because I feel that in order for anybody to get anything, it's like bodybuilding, right? Physique development, body transformations. Watch what happens when someone goes all in to do a transformation. The ones that do well, they shut life off. And I realized that in order to stay aligned with the direction that I wanted to go, I became very fearful of drinking. Because what I realized with drinking was it would allow my conscious brain to start being overtaken with my subconscious. And so my conscious was having to work very, very hard to keep the embedded past at bay. And I was having realignment calls and I was still training Jane. And so every day we'd be talking, and then I would start reading. And I found listening to podcasts every single day. This is another thing with this. I find that if you've gone on a constant sort of journey of personal development, you have to stay surrounded by that energy. And that often means if you've got friends that don't believe in personal development, then if you spend more time with them, then they will pull you back in. Because Jane would always used to say to me is that you have to remain authentically in line with the vision that you have for yourself for it to stick. So you have to live it, essentially. And for every moment you try to or allow to undo, you've then got to revisit everything that you want to become again, so we had this realignment. And I must admit, I went in and out and in and out. And then I thought it was hocus pocus for a while, because, you know, it's really hard to change who you are. And so for 3, 4, 5 years, you know, I went through some real tough times in my head because I didn't have many friends, and I would just stay at home. And I was like, really? Do you have to just stay this focused? And that really was a big change. And I work with a lot of coaches nowadays that are going through this. I'm a trainer. I have a great social life. I have all my friends, but I want to be better. And I'm saying, well, you have got to have your friends, and they're great people. But if they're also not conducive to the person that you want to become, then unfortunately, at some point, you have to make a choice of how much time you spend with them. And that then means that they become a bit lonely for a while, and people don't want to do that. And that's where the conflict comes. And so my kind of in and out was going back to see Jane, having some NLP. I had a lot of reprogramming in my brain that went on. I'd have NLP probably every couple of months. And then I would just keep pulling myself back. And the last thing I'll say with this is I realigned myself every 2 months with my vision. So what I wanted to become, I had it written down, and I would take myself away and write a letter to myself and make sure that I was living every day according to that. So there's things that I teach to a lot of people to do nowadays, which are vision letters. And you basically write a letter to yourself where you want to be and what life looks like. And then the promise that you're making to yourself and how much that means to you. And that allows you to read every day. It's almost like your own mini autobiography of where you're going to be. And it just gives you an interrupt to say, am I in line with this, or am I off? You know what I mean? Yeah.
When you went through this essential cleansing of the palate in your life, like you said, it's very lonely. You've got a lot of anxiety, depression about where you are, where you're going to be going to. Are you doing the right thing? Yeah. Now that you're coaching a lot of trainers and fellow businessmen, entrepreneurs through that phase, what are you telling them?
Well, I think as
in line, without thinking, Mark's just talking a lot of crap here. Like, you know, what are you telling them that when they go through dark days?
Well, I think here's the thing. The first thing is that I'm very transparent with my journey and what I've been through. And I share a lot of that on my social media. Having the privilege to do podcasts like this gets people to really understand that I've been there. It's like body transformations. If you've been there and you say, you are going to experience some real tough days on this prep, but stick with them, you'll come through it. I know what it's like. You're going to experience this. The other thing that I do with people is I allow people to work at a pace, but not overwhelm people. So you're giving people little nuggets and bits at a time. So it's very, very important for me that the first thing I do is I get to know somebody and build trust. The second thing, we work on the vision of where they want to get to. And the third thing is we start to identify the blockages that are potentially going to stop them from getting there. We look at those blockages and we start to work on each one. So, for example, self-doubt. Why is self-doubt embedded? Where did self-doubt come from? How do we use the self-doubt to be a positive? How do we change that? And then once we do that, then we work on the next bit. They might say to me, it's a committed journey, because to build your business, you need to be confident, assertive, disciplined, strategic. They're all positive words. And when you've got somebody with self-doubt, low self-confidence, we've got to first and foremost become aware of why it's there. So my job ultimately is, instead of telling people what they've got wrong, I teach them what happens. And I often do that with a lot of my content. I make people aware of low self-confidence, procrastination, doubt. And then they go, right, I know I have those. How do I actually start dealing with them and addressing them? And in some cases, I'm not an NLP coach. And I've got guys, especially one guy I'm going to see John DeMartini in 2 weeks for his breakthrough weekend with my wife. And one of the coaches I know is coming on it. I urge every coach to do their own breakthrough experience, at some stage in their life, because you get an opportunity to create where you want to get to. But what you said to me was about when trainers kind of feel like I'm giving them too much. It's just like, the client that gets given a diet that's too serious for where they're at right now. A great coach will only give what the person needs at that time. And for me, the most important thing is, what's the biggest nugget that I could give this person to just see the next bit of progress? Because the funny thing is here is, have you ever seen it where you're just giving somebody a little bit of enough before they choose to stick to the diet plan? But you don't teach them how to stick to a diet plan. You just give them enough till they just see the first 6 to 7 pounds of body fat come off. A lot of coaches just need a nudge past the one thing that they're struggling with to see that they can. And when they've developed a little bit of self-belief, it starts to pick up pace. And I think one of the things for me with a lot of coaches is identifying the number one thing that I think is their biggest limitation, block, rock, and working at that and not trying to do everything. And then allowing them to realize that that particular rock has now helped propel them forward. And once that rock has helped propel them forward, they realize and they've got the confidence to do the next one and the next one. But a lot falls away once we deal with the biggest one. A lot falls away. So to go back to what you said, I very rarely would get anybody challenging what I'm helping them with. And I certainly don't sit down and have deep hour and hour of personal development, because I'll point people in the way of books. I mean, it's like clients over the years. If it's personal development problems, I'll point them in the way of books because they've got to go on their own learning journey. I don't want to tell people how to get through it. But I certainly will just highlight some key areas and just focus on individual ones at any time.
A lot of what you talked about so far today is essentially self-mastery. And I know you have a podcast called Mastery.
Yes.
What does mastery mean to you?
Mastery means creating the most fulfilling life for yourself. So when you become a master of yourself, you are in control. Mastery to me is in control of your thoughts, beliefs, actions, and behaviors. You're in control of where you want to go. You're in control of the journey and the path that you're on. And when I notice a lot of people in life, they're not in control. There's a lot of external things that are controlling them. There's guys that are being controlled by their wives that are being controlled by their husbands, people that's life is being controlled by their business. They're not in control. Every single day is an automatic stress. They're not in control. So becoming a master of yourself, to me, in its simplicity, is everything that's going on in here, are you in control of it? Or is it in control of you? And that really sums it up, because I say to people, you're doing a lot of things that you're not in control or aware of that's affecting other people and the way that your business is operating. But if you're in control of that and were able to stabilize it and actually not only answer your own questions, but make sensible and rational, logical steps towards where you want to get to, it'd be a lot more effortless. So to me, it's in its simplicity. It's being in control of yourself.
Yeah, for me, a lack of mastery also shows up a lot in those who fail in physical transformations.
Yeah,
and I always think the physical can be a vehicle for many different things you do in your life, and one of the reasons is if you can conquer your body, you develop that confidence and that mastery of yourself because you've put yourself through so much, which then carries over into everything. Are you of a similar belief?
100%. This is why I don't believe that everybody should be ripped, right? As in, walking around at 6% body fat, 5% body fat. I don't believe that everybody should be walking around at 120 kilos. But being the best version of yourself, self-mastery, when you've allowed your body to go south. You can't have a self-mastery here if this is south. It just shows up as lack of control. So to me, being in control of your relationships, being in control of your body, being in control of your health, and being in control of your business. If you look at self-mastery, for me, people might say, yeah, okay, well, you're going to put body in there. I'm like, no. When I'm in control of my body, my business and my relationships are moving forward. People would say, how did you grow your business alongside prep? And I was like, it was the easiest. I wrote an ebook every time I did a bodybuilding show. I've opened up 2 gyms. I've filled a team. I've created online courses, all while building my physique, because it was like a non-negotiable. And I do think that, you look at the likes of some of the top world entrepreneurs, they get to a certain point and you suddenly see them get in shape. And it's like the icing on the cake, and then you see things move forward. And I really do believe that the body is a vital cog in the mastery process.
I think it was Richard Branson who said, when his business is going bad, the first thing he does is go and train. He knows his body's not up to full scratch.
I think that's incredible. Well, we look at it. I was speaking to somebody earlier today. I do cardio now. I never used to do a lot of it. I do cardio, my conditioning, my aerobic capacity, my mind, my body. I think one of the biggest things, Akash, is that in life, I remember playing rugby, and there were some very successful people playing rugby when I was playing in the local teams and stuff. And at half time, if we were going to change players, we only had one set of kit. And the guys would take the top off, and they would literally they would run off like this. And I said, you're a successful person, but utterly embarrassed of yourself. And I never, ever would forget that. And you see so many people in situations where they're very confident and then very unconfident. I think you should be confident across the board. Confident walking in a room, confident talking to people, confident developing your business, confident in your relationships, which it's actually hard work, because I think that when you're in a relationship, such as husband and wife, or relationship, or partners, or even friends, all of these need working out. I believe that we need to be on that's why myself and my wife are doing John DeMartini's Breakthrough together, to master our lives together. So I know her inside out, and she knows me inside out. So we grow, and we both train, and both develop businesses. And I think that harmony of respecting and looking after your body we know from the science, cellular communication, looking at neurotransmitters and looking at mitochondrial function. If you want a full power machine, fix the cogs. If you want your brain to be alert and sharp, then nutrition is going to be key. If you want nutrition to flow through the body and rich oxygenated blood and hydrated body, we're going to function better. So I think that, without looking at just a physique, that's important. But then on the second side, when you actually are in your clothes and you look in the mirror and you like what you see, it fills you with an incredible amount of self-confidence. When you can put on a well-fitted suit or a well-fitted dress or a top, you don't need to be jacked. You don't need to have round shoulders. But if there's a part of your life that could improve with a little bit of effort, you're adding to the self-mastery portfolio, as it was.
Brilliant. I love that. And it's exactly the same thought process and value alignment that we have here as well. So it's really good to hear that.
And I will say this as well, Akash. It goes on the flip side. If your body becomes such an obsessive version of your life that you're not together with your business and relationships, it's destructive.
Yeah, you've lost it as well. Yeah.
And for a while in my life, I actually said this. It's not a side topic, but when I was doing NLP, I realized that my NLP coach Jane said to me, she said, "What are you on a mission for right now?" And because I was quite fixated on meeting a woman, years ago, and I was like, "Look, I want a relationship. I want to get into a relationship." She said, "What are you most focused on at the moment?" And I said, "Building a body and a business." She went, "A woman doesn't fit right now." Now, this is different, because if you are intentionally focused on building a body, then the intense effort to build that body, in some cases, like you get into Olympia, a bodybuilding competition, you have got to go all in. But we also have to come back out of it at most appropriate times to balance other parts of our life, because we can have a body, and Frank Zane says, your body is either a shield of armor or a completion of your character. And for a long time, that you walk around the gym and just how I look made me feel confident. But as Frank Zane said, without your body, are you still happy? Are you still confident? And I went, that's a challenge. And now, if you take my body away, my life's fantastic and I'm happy. But I think that goes back to self-mastery isn't just a reflection of how you look and what your body is. It's a reflection of your relationships, your beliefs, your values as a whole. And I think one thing that we do at M10, as sounds like you do as well, is we've done transformations for years on end, and we have incredible, we don't specialize in transformations. We help people achieve something that they didn't think was possible. But along the way, we will identify our 6 pillars, which is sleep, stress, digestion, psychology, training, and nutrition. We look at them all. And if we feel that our clients are coming in the gym, they're flat, their energy's low, and they're not happy, we will make sure that we address some of those key psychology, human behavior areas too, as opposed to just letting somebody smash a transformation out and actually only thing that they're happy with their life is the photograph at the end of it.
Yeah. What are you doing on a daily basis to keep your mind sharp and to continuously course correct, as we've been talking about a lot?
I love that. I'm taking that, Gav. Your course correct. We used to call it, we did realignment with Jane. One of the most important things for me is quarterly reflection on my vision. I read every morning, even if it is 10 pages.
What do you read?
I read, majority of my time will be, I've actually haven't read an autobiography for a while, but I've just read Michael Knight's Nike Shoe Dog.
Phil Knight. Yeah.
Phil Knight, sorry. Loving the book. But I've read a lot of personal development over the years, not because I need to stay online, because when I'm in a very powerful headspace, I'm very creative. I think in this world that we give too much of our energy to things that doesn't matter. So I'm very conscious. I don't look at my mobile phone unless it's my wife or my family until 8 a.m. I get up 6:30, 7:15, and I'll read after I've had some food till then. At the moment, I'll do a bit of writing the book as well. I listen to podcasts. I stay very, very much aligned with where I want to go. And I'm very sensitive as to what I allow into my headspace. And I'm very much conscious of what I allow in. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't do, especially with social media nowadays. Most people are so unaware of what they want out of life and what direction they're going. They allow a lot of external social media or people's beliefs, thoughts, and opinions to conflict with where they want to go, because when you don't know, you are easily impressionable. So every quarter, I do a realignment with the vision that I have for my life and where I want to be, to the point until it inspires me, excites me, and that wakes me up every morning and keeps me and avoids me going off on track. And then the other thing that I do is I fuel my passion. I fuel my passion by keeping learning. Whether it's training, I want to learn more, or go and train with somebody. I still train every day. That's a passion of mine. But the thing that keeps me more on track than anything is feeding my brain with new information.
Do you journal, Mark?
Pardon?
Do you journal?
I journal a lot. I've got a whiteboard to my left. I have my journal here right in front of me.
Mine as well.
I'm glad you said that. It helps to just reaffirm this to me. I have Monday meetings with myself. So I sit down and I say, what did you do well last week? What could you better? I teach this to trainers a lot. We wake up on Monday morning and just go and train our clients. It takes 10 minutes. It's an appraisal. What went well? What didn't go well? What did you spend too much time doing that wasn't conducive to your growth and development of your business? What did you spend time doing that wasn't conducive to your relationships? So I will do like a personal, professional, and physical audit. What did I do well in the gym? What could I have done better in the gym? And I hold myself accountable to them. I don't need as much mentoring as I have done over the years, because the systems are ingrained. I have either the whiteboard now, which is to my left, the journal for a long time. I've actually started using a whiteboard as of recent, a lot more because there's more to go on it. Normally this journal's enough. In the evening, I write down what I need to accomplish the night before. In the morning, I write down what has come in at 11 o'clock when I look at my emails, and I prioritize what is important. And I'm also very, very good at prioritizing what doesn't need to be done. I remember picking that up from Craig Ballantyne. Very simple tip. What doesn't need to get done? And I will tell myself, nope, and then it doesn't get done. And then if messages come in during the day, I'll prioritize when they need to be replied by. And what that allows me to do, especially, I don't do any calls with anybody before 11. And from a personal training perspective, that was very, very hard in the past, but I will prioritize that first thing in the morning to not take those in, especially because there's so much.
And what filter do you run those questions through? So when you say to yourself, is this essential or not? What filter are you using?
So, well, I have it's clarity with my vision as to is it actually conducive to moving me forward. So it's when you say a filter, do you mean like as in?
Yes, exactly that. It's you just said it there. You know, is it in alignment with my vision?
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So I have. I know exactly where I want to go to. So I have, is it complementary or complicating the direction that I want to go? So is a meeting with this person complementary or not? No. Done. Okay. Sorry, I'm not available. I'll speak to you next week. I'll speak to Tracy. At the beginning of the week, the biggest filter for me is, from a training perspective, I just want to say to myself, am I giving myself permission this week to not go at 120%? I'm actually okay to go at 90 and give myself permission because this week's very important to finish the book or it's very important to do something else. I'll still train, but it won't be such neural sessions because I need the energy for something else. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very, very much it's just, you've got to start the week with the questions. What went well, what didn't go well, what's the week going to look like? What targets? The other thing I've got as well is huge on targets. I give myself the responsibility to fill X amount of place on the seminar, which then reverse engineers to certain marketing strategies, financial targets. You've got the vision of where you want to get to, but here's the thing. You can't just look at that vision and just get up every day productive if that vision to fill 80 places on a seminar means you've got to have at least 10 sales a week. You know what you've got to do. So then what happens is your journal starts filling up because you've got targets, you've got accountability, and you've got the vision. And I think, again, most people, it's not the word wing it, but most people are on they very much underestimate what needs to be done to get to where they want to get to, which is why I think, as you said, you've got your journal. A journal for me is, with this busy world that we're all in, a journal gives you time to look at something and take your time to just dump what's on your brain and just organize your thoughts. And if you don't organize your thoughts and put something down systemized, you start the day unorganized. And you're also not in control of what comes in because you let it come in. And that's why the journal to me is, if the journal says no, your journal's a powerful piece of kit. It tells you what you're allowed to and not allowed to do. And in terms of accountability, it's probably the most important thing that's on our desk.
Yeah. For me, it's introspection, insights, and ideas. That's what it's responsible for.
Yeah. Yeah. And notes on my phone, like wherever I am, my brain's just dumping stuff down.
Yeah.
It's, and there's that's another big thing. If I have an idea, I stop and it goes down in my phone. And I think a lot of people miss ideas and miss taking action on ideas because they come in, but they don't put them down. And my notes in my phone, however wacky anything is, it goes down. And then when I actually sit down with the journal and start to compute everything, it comes back into a nice, I put it in an order then.
So Mark, you mentioned you're writing a book. What's the book about and what's your writing process?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd like people to know the book is called Level Up. And level up is not an egotistical or arrogant word. Maybe to people it's like, hey, you need to level up. to me, levels up. The book is How to Navigate Your Journey Through the Fitness Industry.
Oh, brilliant.
And essentially, it starts off with, the publisher said that it's too long, an introduction to kind of what got me to becoming a trainer. And then it goes through 3 stages. The challenges that you're going to come into contact with at the 3 different stages: personal growth, professional growth, and physical growth, your physical self. And it's not about what I think you should do. It's not about, I created this life for myself in fitness industry, you should do this too. Because I believe that success is only relevant to what it means to you. So if somebody wants to make $1 million, great. If somebody wants to make 300,000, great. If somebody just wants to do body transformations and have enough money, then great. But ultimately, let's have a fulfilling, successful, and happy career and do all the things you want to do. So each chapter essentially looks at highlighting what could be limiting you in terms of those areas, and then action points to put into place. So essentially the book will be, read it from start to finish, and it will give you, if you're at level 1 in your life and your business and you want to go to level 2, it will give you the tools to go to level 2. If you're a 4, it will give you tools to go to 6. And if you want to kind of map out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and also 10, there isn't a 10 because excellence doesn't have a finish line. So it's just leveling up. It's just, I truly do believe in my life that from not being the smartest through my own fault to being a little bit smarter, to not being happy to be a bit happier, and then being a bit more happier, to building a body and making it a bit better. It's not Olympia level, but I never thought I'd be on a bodybuilding stage. I never thought I'd be increasing my revenue. I never thought I'd get trying. It's just about a continual progression. How fast somebody operates is dependent on where they are in life and how much certain things mean to them. Some people will go hell bent on creating the best physique in their life and go all in. And some people will take them 15 years to do what it takes some people 3 years. And I think your work rate is very much linked to, your why, your mission, your life story. But Level Up for me is all about just making progress and using the book as an accountability measure and a tool as to what you might encounter, and also how to break through things that you might encounter, and giving you little courses and tools and books and snips and tips and books and to read to help you navigate your way through.
Brilliant. And how are you writing it? What is your process? Do you have one? Or
So interestingly, I'll tell you this. I've spent because I've written a lot over the years, and I've presented a lot of seminars. Do you know the first thing I do is nothing goes on paper until I can see the book.
Okay, so you're very much, let's write the skeleton out and then fill it out.
Do you know what? Like, my wife is a graphic designer, and she's incredibly talented. 10 years, and she's incredibly talented. And I said, I just need you to do the front cover. I just need to see it. And she was like, okay, take my brain, take loads of inspiration. Okay, there's your cover. I was like, right, now I know what I'm writing about. And almost I had to come up with Level Up. I knew what it wanted to be about. And then I had to go, well, how's the book going to flow? And I just have to sit amongst my thoughts. And the way that I write anything is I have to see it. If I see it, it will flow. If I can't see it yet, nothing will come out. So the funny thing is, I wrote the first 10,000 words, and then I had a kind of book mentor, and they were pretty helpful, just basically taking everything out of my head. But we parted ways, and now I'm kind of on my own doing it, and then I'll get somebody later on down the line. I know the skeleton, I know how it works, but because the first 10,000 words, it was very tough to write, to get out of my head.
It's different to an article, right? Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, when I say to people, please don't ever, when you're writing an article, don't worry about what other people think. You're serving your audience, make sure it's written to them. But you can't help writing a book think about what's the world going to think, And I'm almost trying to, Sarah, who runs my marketing for M10, she read it at the weekend, the first 10,000 words, and she said, take that out, tweet that. And she thought it was great, but I have to wait now in my head because I put so much mental focus into the first 10,000 words, I didn't think about the second, third, fourth. Now I have to wait for me to get so fired up to write the next 10,000.
Yeah, you can't force it.
Well, one of the things that I've always said is some people are very good to go and sit in a coffee shop and just grind. I am very good when it's there. So I wait. And at the moment, there's a couple of pages in my book that, like, I've done probably 7 pages this week of just blah, 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 notes. And it's all jumbled and it's all over the place. And then one day, the laptop will open and then I'll just go, brrr. And then I will spend 2 days and do 10,000 words. That's what happened on the first one. I have to wait. And then I take notes. There's journals full. And then I'll just, brrr. And that's how I kind of work. Some people are very different, but I know that if I sit every day now and try and write, it will be terrible because it will be me stressed. And if there was somebody that came to me and said, I've got a better way to write this, I'd listen to them. But I also know that after many years of writing articles and I kind of know how I work, but I think that if I had somebody that was very skilled at writing books that would say to me, maybe you're trying to do too big of pieces at any given time, and they could probably condense it down to an easier writing style. But I'll keep plodding on.
When's it out?
I want December.
Okay.
When I realized so I want about 250 pages.
Are you self-publishing, or you say you got a publisher?
Well, have you've done one?
No, I'm not. I'm in very early stages of writing one.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm curious to know what you're doing. I
hired a book mentor, recommended by me. I'm very, very big on values and energy. And it's to anybody who is like, if I'm going to work with somebody, I don't care how successful somebody is. If we don't fit, then it's not against you. It's just, I need to be around the right person. And we just didn't really fit. Their idea was essentially that you can go through a self-publish, but when you publish through Amazon, they are in charge of the quality of the book. So I'm aware. If you go through a publisher, you can choose the quality of the book, the thickness of the pages, et cetera, et cetera. But then obviously you've got to go through all the storage of the book yourself. And shipping. But if you go through publishing through Amazon, you could actually, they just print off as and when they need them.
Okay.
But to me, it kind of looked a little bit like the school books that fit. I was frightened when I was at school. I've got a look and a feel of you've read a lot of books, I can see, but there's a book that I would want people to hold in line with my brand. Yeah. And I know what it's like. And as soon as I looked at the one that was suggested to me, I was like, nah. And I can't explain to this person that there's nothing wrong with that book. It's just not me. So I've got to feel, what it's, when you get open a book,
yeah.
And it's white, it's very clinical. I go, nah, oh. But then I open up a book and it's like, it's a reading book. Like, to a guy that reads books, you'd know what I mean. This is a book.
It's crazy how in such a digital age we live in, there's still something very special about having a physical book in your hands. Well, I can't think of anything better than having your own one as well.
Well, do you know what? Like, it's to anybody that wants to write a book. After my first 10,000 words, I'm committed to doing this.
Yeah.
But when I wake up in the morning and sit down to write it, and at the moment I'm having a block, then I go pick up Shoe Dog, start reading, and then I think like I've got 10 minutes. And I will say this to people: snippets of writing. If you write an article, most people want to write the article. I never used to really work like that. I would come up with an idea, bullet points and bits down, and leave it for a day. Then I'd come back, and then there'll be plenty on the go of just inspiration and ideas. And then I'd say, right, now I'm ready.
Have you ever been a fan of the 200 crappy words a day rule?
No, go on. What is it?
So essentially it's that. You just need to write 200 crappy words, no matter how good or bad they are. Just write 200, get in the habit of doing it. And some days you'll be like, right, I'm off. I'm going to carry on and keep going. Some days you'll be like, 200 is done. It wasn't great, but I've done 200 words.
Yeah. To be honest, from talking to you today, I'd want to commit to writing. If it's 200, I said to myself I was going to do 1,000. But if I did 1,000 a week, in 10 weeks, or you did 2,000 a week, I know the book would progress. But I also know with me, if I leave this mind space and get close to being ready, I'll do 2 days and I won't leave the house, and I'll do 10,000. And that's how I work best. Once I'm fueled, when I used to do ebooks, I would write the whole thing on a flight. And that's just how I would operate. And I know me, that I almost have to put myself under that much pressure, and then I go. But I'm going to start with 200 words, crappy words. I want them to be better than crappy.
I'll hold you accountable to it.
Please, drop me a message.
Let's finish up on some rapid fire questions before you go.
Please.
First one, we've been talking about books. What's one book you'd gift anyone who's listening?
I would gift anybody who's listening The Values Factor by John Demartini.
Okay, the final one is, who should we have on the podcast next?
Have you had specific mindset people?
We've had a few. We've actually had so John Demartini's head UK facilitator, Manmeet Chowdhury. Manmeet Chowdhury, she's a very good friend of mine.
Really?
She's been on. Actually, I'll send you her article. It's and her podcast. I think you find it very interesting.
Please,
but,
I'd love to.
Anyone in that space is great. I really want to get John Demartini on. She said she's going to introduce me. So
do you know what? Like I would love to. I just want to thank him when I hear him speak. I think he's incredible. I'm the likes of people like Brendan Bouchard, I think, are fantastic. Some of the kind of leading mindset coaching, Dean Graziosi. These are a lot of the kind of more entrepreneurial and mindset people. In terms of, I've listened to quite a lot recently of Ben's podcasts.
Ben
and I
Kutsky.
think, yeah. And I think just in terms of intellect and challenging opinions and ideas on his belief state, of which he is right, because we're all right in what we believe. The journey that he's been on through bodybuilding to where he is now, I think is incredibly inspiring. And what his mission is now in life, I think would be very insightful, very inspiring to listen to.
Amazing. I love it. I love an introduction.
Yeah. So I will definitely, I just think that, people with interesting stories and journeys create very valuable guests. But I'm very grateful for you having me on today. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming on, Mark. It's been an incredible conversation, and I think that people are going to listen to this and find a lot of value. So thank you for coming on. Well,
do you know, I will say that, I've been interviewed a lot for, physique and business and stuff like that. And for some people might be thinking, it's personal development. It's kind of like wishy-washy. My answer to you is some of the world's leaders study the mind. And the mind often is our limiting factor behind achieving what we want in life. We always want to do something, but something is stopping us. And if we don't investigate the many possibilities of what could be, if the mind has been proven to be a limiting factor for people and you are choosing to ignore it, and the mind isn't about being wishy-washy, it's just about self-mastery. And that's what's so fascinating about becoming a master of your body, your business, your brain, your relationships. It's delivered to me through my own work, the most incredible life, wife, business, connections with people. I'm very privileged to be talking to you today. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to just share my journey. But, I encourage everybody, even though it's probably a subject that's maybe quite new to a lot of you, just pick up a book, read John Demartini's Value Factor. The wonderful thing about books, and you said this earlier, you don't know what it's going to introduce you to. Whenever you open up a book and it suddenly says you've got to read this one, I buy it. and then it sits on the shelf, and maybe a year later you read it. But having an opportunity now to just share to anybody that's listening my journey through personal development, how it's carried over to so many different areas. For many people, I think it's just a missing link. So I appreciate that you give me the opportunity to talk about it.
Amazing. A perfect way to finish. How can people find you if they want to find out more?
So I have my Instagram page where I share a lot of content. I put quite a lot of personal growth and personal development, but it's very much helping personal trainers build a business and a brand. And that's at Mark Coles M10. We've got the M10 Instagram page, which is M10 at M10_gym. And then we've got my website, which is m10life.com. Which houses a lot of articles on the website, a lot of content, but there's a lot that goes on the Instagram page as well. And finally, one of the most visited parts of my content platforms is my podcast. It's the Mastery Podcast. And to me, you've talked about mastery. I look at your personal growth, your professional growth, and your physical growth, and helping personal trainers navigate their way through their career with insightful education and support as such. And I always wanted the podcast to be a supporting arm, sharing real things that real trainers go through, giving them an opportunity to grow and achieve a successful career. So, if people have listened to it, if trainers listen to this episode, then I hope you go and listen.
Brilliant. We'll link that into the show notes. And I would also say it's not just for trainers. It's for anyone looking to improve and go on that self-mastery journey themselves. So thank you so much, Mark.
Gosh, thank you very much.
For more information, if you please visit www.rntfitness.com. If you enjoyed today's episode with Mark, please make sure you share it with your family and friends. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for being here today on this episode of RNT Fitness Radio. I'd love for you to do a quick little favor for us. Please head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment, and share it with your family and friends. If you're interested in learning more about how to transform your body and positively change your life, go to www.rntfitness.com and explore all our free content on offer. Thank you.